Jonathan, you can, I mean, John, you can stop your video if you'd like, just while we're waiting for people to come in, and then they'll just see this front page. And we'll give it a couple of more minutes until people get here, and then we'll start. Hi, everybody who's already here. We have a chat box. If you have anything to share, please share it in the chat box, and we'll be with you in just a minute. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Family Constitutions. I'm going to give us just a couple of more minutes and see if we can wait for a few more people to join us. So let's take about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll be right back. So we do have a chat box. If you have any questions for me, please, jump in there, and I'll get right to that. Thank you.
For those of you that are already on, I will give a bonus story while we're waiting for others to attend. Every time I speak at a conference or a workshop, I do get requests to hear this story. My name is John Wilson. I'm the Executive Director of SOAR, and I am not only an active supporter of this community, I am a full-fledged card-carrying member. When I was and we were an extraordinary soccer team. We won our division every year, but it wasn't a select team. It wasn't one of those competition teams. It was a group that the Spring Valley Athletic Association out of Dallas, Texas. Everybody had to get playtime, and so I wasn't a particularly coordinated kid on a really good soccer team. So when I did get playtime, often I found myself in the goal. We had a really amazing team, and therefore rarely did I ever even get any action in the goals. So I would get bored and try and figure out something to do. Boredom is not the friend of the ADHD child. So on this particular day was the soccer net and the post and myself. So I tried to figure out if it would be possible for me to touch my black soccer cleats to the top of the orange soccer net. And I used a couple different techniques, but finally I managed to hold on to the side post and swing my feet up. And sure enough, I was able to get the top of the orange soccer net. And I was quite proud of myself. It wasn't until I tried to come down that I realized I had a small problem. You see, my feet had gone through the little square orange holes in the soccer net. And as I tried to come down, the more I kicked and tried to get them loose, the worse it got. And eventually, my strength gave out. I swung away from the post, and I swung back into the post, banged my head against the side post, and was knocked unconscious. There's no telling how long I dangled there until the opposing coach and goalie, who was hanging unconscious. So we love the opportunity to get to share some of these fun stories. Certainly, those of you who are attending this podcast have somebody in your life that potentially you could see in that goal area. But we're looking forward to starting this webinar and sharing with you some thoughts that we've got about family constitution.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I love that story. It is all too familiar to a lot of us. So I want to get started this morning, and we're going to visit about family constitution, about getting everybody on the same page. But before we do, I want to introduce myself. I'm Liz Simpson. I'm an educational psychologist, and I am the Family Support and Alumni Coordinator for SOAR. And my career has been spent working with kids and families who have attention and learning challenges, and working with them to find ways that we can help teach the skills that our kids need. And I believe that a lot of what happens is that we need to teach the skills that our kids need. Sometimes we get caught up in saying, well, they have ADHD and that's that, and that's what happens. But no, it just means that sometimes we have to be taught a different way, the skills that we need. And so I'm here to help you with that. I'd like to introduce John Wilson, who you just heard a wonderful story from. He is our executive director here at SOAR. And SOAR is a camp. It's also a year-round school. And also we have a gap year for kids with attention and learning challenges. And right now I am at Eagle View Ranch at our gorgeous facility here overlooking the mountains and lots of snow. We have 0 degrees outside, no degrees, none, 0. It's horrible. It's really cold. But anyway, so today we're going to go through family constitutions, which is a great way to get everybody on the same page. And I'm going to tell you why. But before that, I want to let John have a few minutes to introduce himself and get us started. John? John, can you hear me? Hello?
Thank you. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so we're delighted to have you all be a part of this. As I mentioned, I am an adult with ADHD. I have 2 children with ADHD. I've served on the board of CHAD. I've been the state president of Learning Disability Association of North Carolina, and I've been working with this population for going on 35 years. I am delighted to share some of the remarkable things that we've learned along the way that allow these young men and women to be spectacular versions of themselves.
Yeah, and I want to follow up with that. What we are doing is sharing what SOAR has been doing for the last 40 years. And so it's not magic, but it is information that you all as parents need to have. And so that is part of our mission here, is to share what we know with you so that you can do these things at home. Little housekeeping, mute your mic. If it's not already muted, it should already be muted. And you have a chat box. So if you have some questions for me or for John, put it in the chat box and one of us will check that and respond to those. Our plan is to go about 30 or 40 minutes of information and then have some time for discussion. So we're going to try to keep it at an hour. And if you want more information about how these or any other strategies that we're going to share with you today work or can work for your specific family circumstances, just contact me at liz@soarnc.org. So I'm happy to help. Here we go. So why we're here. So it sometimes feels like in any family, and I have 3 children, they all have unique abilities and challenges. I would say we could use any combination of letters in the alphabet to describe them: ADHD, OCD, LNMOP, they're all different. And so how do we get everybody on the same page? How do we get everybody together and working together? And this is a great tool. I think you're going to be really pleased when we get through the whole process. So the whole purpose of a family constitution is to bring everybody to the table so we're all working in the same direction, working toward common goals and outcomes. Okay, and really what a family constitution is a social contract. Anytime a group of people are together, there has to be something that holds us together, something everybody can refer to. Tribes have this, countries have this, obviously, religions have this, and schools have this. So if you're teaching about family constitutions at home, and you're talking about rules and responsibilities and so forth at home, and you make it concrete, because our kids need concrete. We need visual and we need concrete information. And so if you do that, then we're going to be able to transfer that information. When I go into other social arenas, I'm going to say, what are the rules here? What do I need to do? What are the expectations? I'm going to look for those because now I know they exist. So any social organization has them. And in your family, there's a natural hierarchy, okay? You are the parents. When your kids first got here, they were aliens in this land and you were their leader, right? And you still are their leader. And I want to just talk a little bit about how that hierarchy and how parenting is developmental, the same as growing children develop. Okay, so our parenting changes as our children develop because both are a developmental process. So when your child is from 0 to 9, you're more of an assertive parent. You have to teach them about the environment. You have to teach them the rules of engagement. You have to teach them everything to keep them safe, to keep them healthy, to keep them secure. So you're more assertive. But when they're from 9 to 16, you become a little bit more collaborative. Okay, so that's sort of the coach model. You're working through the things together. Yes, and I've been there. Here's how this works. This is what we do. And then when your child is age 17 through adulthood, you become more the sage on the side. So you are listening and watching, but you want to have them make the most of their decisions going forward. And we're going to have a webinar about that in April, and I'll talk more about that later. But it is important because when you're building your family constitution, you have to consider the developmental level of your child, and you have to consider your developmental level. Okay, so this is going to be a democratic process. With you holding the rules so that the democracy can run smoothly. So that means it's going to be a give and take sort of process. And the first step to getting on the same page with everybody in the family is communication. And communication needs to be very clear. The less words, the better, really, sometimes. You just need to be very clear. You need to be unambiguous. So my son, who has attention deficit disorder, is very black and white. He cannot deal with global, broad statements. He's like, what is the point? What is A? What is B? What is C? I'm very global, very chatty. I'm too much for him sometimes. He's like, Mom, just tell me 1, 2, 3. That's all I need. The other thing is you have to be very consistent. So if you're wishy-washy when you're communicating with your kids, they're going to see that as sort of indecisiveness and not somebody they can follow. Okay, so if you say something, say it again, same way, be clear and consistent. John Wilson has a great thing about don't get into, be a broken record, don't get into guerrilla arguing with your kids. Right, John?
Sure, let me, you know what guerrilla arguing is, right? It's when you say, for instance, my kid touched you. He's like, no, I wasn't. And I said, yes, you were. He said, well, did you see what she said to me? And I would say, well, no, I didn't see what she said to you. Well, that's because you never notice what she does. You're always focused on me. Like yesterday, did you know, when she came in here and she just pushed me out of my chair, you didn't do anything. You didn't say, I'm the one that's on trial. And we are far from that point where I've asked Jay to stop messing with his sister. And so when I go down that rabbit trail, nothing good happens. However, when I simply say to Jay, stop messing with your sister. Well, she was messing with me first. Jay, stop messing with your sister. Well, did you see, what she did yesterday? Jay, stop messing with your sister. How come you're always focused on me? How come you never say anything to Landry? Jay, stop messing with your sister. Right. Eventually, when I give that no fuel, I'm going to get this response. Fine. And the argument is over.
Right. That's a perfect example. So yeah, we have to be consistent and we have to be unambiguous and very clear. And we have to be respectful. And that's John's example is a great example of being respectful. You're not buying into the frustration or the emotion. And also communication is reciprocal. So we have to give that time and teach those skills for how they can be heard as well. And those are specific skills. How can I really hear you? And we're going to teach those. But the main thing about getting on the same page is that you as parents need to be on the same page. So we want to take a couple of minutes, just think about that. You want to have some discussions ahead of time before you decide to develop your family constitution to be sure that you are on the same page. My husband and I parent differently, but when we are together in front of the kids, we are on the same page. So, but we have to sort of pre-plan that a little bit. So just wanted to let that know, get that out there. And then also listening is as important as talking. When you're in this process, this collaborative process, you may be trying to think ahead, oh boy, we got to just put this in there. We got to do this, we got to do that. Try to just take a few breaths and just listen and watch the process. The kids are going to be able to contribute a lot. Structure and boundaries is important to kids on every level. It's safety, it's security, it's knowing what the rules are. That works very well for kids. So listen, they're going to give you as much information as you need to build this thing.
I wanted to add a piece here, Liz.
Yeah.
I'm reminded by, the 7 habits that Covey talks to us about. And one of the habits is seek first to understand before being understood. Mm-hmm. And when you truly listen to your kids, it hopefully will begin to change and shift your perspective. I recognize that I am often, my first response to any request that my kids make is no. And so, I have tried for years now to ask this question: why can't I say yes? And so, when I listen to them, it's critical. I'm going to share one other quick little story. A couple years ago, and I do this every time I'm on program with kids. I'll ask young men and women, hey, you know what? I'm a dad. Do you have any advice for me? And sometimes when I listen to what kids tell me, they tell me extraordinary things. And this little girl changed my life. She said, when you come home from work, make sure that the first thing you do isn't to get on to your child about what they haven't been doing or their chore or, get on to them right away. And I realized every day when I came home, that's exactly what I was doing to my son. Why isn't the trash taken out? You're in here, the kitchen's a mess. What have you done for the family? Every day. And she said, because that way, if you engage with them and you make that a positive experience, instead of when the door opens, they think, oh no, daddy's home. Instead, they think, yay, daddy's home. And so I have made it a really clear choice to make sure that first 5 minutes when I'm home with both of my kids, I hear about their day. I sit down, they know to expect. I love you. How was your day? And then I ask very pointed questions to try and get a sense so I can listen to them and get them talking. Because when they talk and I listen, I learn an awful lot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So moving from that example, a family constitution provides a framework to sort of discuss things with your kids so that it's all in one place. You're not going to come home and just take pot shots at kids. You have this to refer to, and you have a certain set time during the week to refer to it. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the purpose is to have a space where that energy can go, that we all agree on, that we all understand, and that we can follow, okay? Excuse me, there we go. So the development of a family constitution is defined by the parent's leadership style and the developmental level of your child. And you're going to take the lead. So what we're going to talk about today is sort of a general outline of what a family constitution looks like. But for your family, you can make it, if you have younger kids, you can make it as fun as you want to, coloring and gluing and glitter and stars and whatever you want to do. If your children are older, teenagers, you might want to make it more formal and that kind of thing. So you're gonna build this how you want it. And I did have a question of, are we going to be able to see the slides after this? Yes. This is going to be recorded or is being recorded. And then also, if you need any handouts or you want a copy of the slides for yourself, just email me. So I'm just going to throw that in there right now. It is important that when you're building this, no matter how fun you make it and how involved it is, that you're going to use a consensus building approach. So everybody has something to do with and are involved in the development. So if you have a young child and a teenager, they're going to have to come to consensus on what they want this to look like, what you want to post on the refrigerator, all of those things. We're going to get that decided as a family. The Constitution is a living document and it can be changed or modified according to the amendment process, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So the components of your Constitution are the family vision or mission, and I'm going to give you some examples of all of these. The non-negotiables, the duties and responsibilities, the family meetings, how they work, when they work, what the components of that are, the treasury, the use of behavioral contracts, and the amendment process. And then everybody needs to sign it. So the preamble is the same as the mission or vision. And I've got two examples here, and then I want John to share his because it's really short and sweet and easy. So it's up to you how formal you want to make it or informal you want to make it. The Jones family, Jonathan Jones is our founder. The Jones family is committed to the personal growth and health of all family members as we serve our God, community, and our country. So that theirs is more formal, more similar to the United States. And it sort of reflects, Jonathan is a veteran, his son is a veteran. That works great for them. It reminds me of them actually. And then the next one is we, the Gale family, in order to create a more harmonious existence, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the Gale family. And that was written by Scott Gale, who wrote the book, Your Family Constitution, A Modern Approach to Family Values and Household Structures. So that is obviously a collaborative effort with him and his 3 kids. So they threw in all the words everybody thought of and put it all together, and there you go. And it's a great book if you have an opportunity to read it. John, what about yours?
So before I share mine, I want to preface this with helping you understand Constitution. You can take pieces of this that work for you, that serve you. You can, you can make it as developed as the Joneses Constitution has been, or you can make it as simple as a handwritten note on the refrigerator. What we're giving you are strategies today that you can incorporate in a myriad of ways, but in the family constitution, they can be quite powerful. Our family constitution is really simple. It's 3 words: Wilsons stick together. And from that point, everything else follows. Wilsons stick together. And what we mean by that is that when we are in public, we won't embarrass each other. We will stick up for each other. We will help each other, and that is of what we're doing, because we wanted our kids to recognize and understand that they were a team, and they were each other's best advocates.
Perfect. John, we just got a comment that sometimes when you're speaking, you're cracking up just a little bit. So maybe next time you want to leave your video off and just come in audio and see if we can get that cleared up a little bit. Okay. But thank you for that. That was absolutely perfect. So the first thing that you want to start with, and this is a great discussion to have with your kids, because it puts all the non-negotiables in one place. As a parent, if we don't do that, we end up, I call it pot shooting at our kids, for instance, if it is not allowed to, if you have a rule that you want the kids to not eat in the bathtub, that was one I had to deal with, not eat food in the bathtub, then they need to know that like ahead of time. And the non-negotiables have it all written out. We're not going to eat in places except the kitchen table, that kind of thing. Otherwise, you're just taking pot shots at the kids. There's no eating in this room. There's no eating over there. There's no eating over here. And your kid is walking around with a plate. Well, where can we eat? What is happening? I don't know what, So you want to make those things clear. Otherwise, the non-negotiables just kind of bubble up when you see something. And that kind of takes everybody off guard. So if we can put them down all in one place, then the kids know, here it is. This is what we do. This is what we don't do. This is right here. So this is what this article is for. Article 1 is very important. And as I'm talking, I hope you've had a chance to read through. These are just some examples from the Jones family. Confidence in yourself and love for others, respect yourself, family members, fellow human beings, and so forth. Personal safety and safety of family members. Those are pretty broad. It can get more specific. Will not physically or verbally strike out at one another in frustration or anger. Will not question the decision of a parent if the stated reason is one of physical or emotional safety. Will be drug-free. Those are just some examples. I'm going to give you a link at the end of this that has, you can go directly to Jonathan Jones' entire list of things. So the examples are sort of expanded if you go to the link at the end. I'm just giving you a few examples here so that you can see them. And then Article 2, really important, duties and responsibilities. Whose job is it? Okay. And the purpose of this article is so that everybody knows their individual responsibility. And it lays the foundation for creating a job description for each family member. And sometimes kids don't think they have very much responsibility at all. I mean, you know, it's all up to you because, and you need to check yourself. Are you creating that environment? Are you doing everything for everybody so nobody does actually have a job? I mean, you've got to be careful about the environment that you set up. It should be, because we're all a team, that everybody has a contributing part. And that's really important in life, right? That we go out and we contribute to the larger whole. So we're really teaching that skill in our homes when we create job descriptions for everyone, okay? So the job description will spell out the specifics and can be negotiated. If you feel like you're taking on too much and you want to renegotiate at those routine weekly meetings, that's a good time to do that. And again, we'll give you a tool about renegotiating here in a minute. So duties and responsibilities of parents. This is from the Joneses: to model and uphold the principles and guidelines of Article 1 first, those non-negotiables, and then to provide the financial resources for the household, instruction and direction to the children, nurturing for each family member, and I love this: to provide the most appropriate individualized educational opportunity for each child. So that is our job, to be sure that their education matches their needs. And to encourage each family member to explore his or her unique talents and gifts. That's fantastic. And meaningful opportunities to develop knowledge and faith in God or any other spiritual pursuit. That's an important component of our lives. Duties and responsibilities of the children. Again, there's the non-negotiables in Article 1, but number 2 is to help with the upkeep and organization of the home, fulfill their chores, do their best in school. My son told me, "School is my job, Mom. That's my job. You go to your job. School is my job." You know, and that was right. And treat it like a job. Work hard there. Allot time each week to develop talents and abilities, and make sure you're looking at the calendar and you know what you're supposed to do next. And number 7 is develop money management skills. And we're going to be talking about that here in just a minute. That is a really, really important piece. And I think it's so important for children to do even early on. So the family meetings, they provide structure, a structured venue to discuss, plan, and celebrate problem-solve opportunities that arise in the family. You know, you've heard for years that if you come together at the dinner table, how important that is for families. Some of us don't have time for that. Some of us, our schedules are just all over the place. So the family meeting creates that sacred time at least once a week where we do come together and we do share those things that we would over the dinner table. A wonderful guy, Leo Biscaglia, wrote Living, Loving, and Learning. And he talked about how his father every night at the dinner table would say, "Tell me one thing you learned in school today. Tell me one thing you did fabulous in school today. Or tell me one person you helped. Tell me one person who helped you." Those kinds of things every evening at the dinner table. And it really helped Leo, who became a really super guy, a Harvard professor. But at that time in his life as a child, he was kind of shunned and kind of different and kind of awkward. But his dad would always bubble up those positives for him. And so this is where we come together and do that and problem solve things that we can and help our kids come together as a team within our family. So there's routine family meetings that happen, I would suggest, at least once a week. Once a week is probably just right. if you want to do more, you can. And again, like John said, this is up to you to put together how you want to. But you want to celebrate the positives much more than the negatives. And even when you're talking about challenges, you want to talk about them as challenges, and every challenge presents an opportunity. What can we do differently here? Okay. And then any member of the family can call a meeting if they need to. So if there is something that needs to be discussed, they can call a family meeting, and you're going to develop the process for that. Maybe it's put a sticky note on the refrigerator. Maybe it's, come tell mom. Maybe it's write it in our family journal, whatever that you decide, and then they can call those meetings. And that's very empowering for each family member.
Liz, I wanted to add 3 points here.
Yeah.
Point number 1 is that you should routinely call family meetings, whether you do a constitution or not. And those family meetings should include both positive, celebrations. Call a family meeting to celebrate something that has happened. Call a family meeting to decide on what the family vacation is going to be. Call a family meeting to discuss an issue or a challenge. And so when a family meeting is called, it's not necessarily just to focus on a problem. The second point I want to make is that how you structure and develop that family meeting should be consistent. At our house, we had to implement the talking stick, and eventually it turned into the talking puggle. You were only allowed to talk if you had the puggle in your lap. That's the family dog. And then we had to make an additional rule that the kids could not hand the puggle just back and forward to each other, basically eliminating mom and dad from the conversation. And then we also had to add the structure that you could speak for 30 to 45 seconds before allowing someone else to interject, so that our son could not filibuster. and you learn the little tips and tricks along the way as it becomes something that you're trying to do that's more successful for you. And the third and final piece that I wanted to share is that when you create the structure and you have opportunities to have really quality family meetings, they then begin with discussions. And one of the things that we have implemented is that at the close of our family meetings, we do what's called a celebration circle, which is to play a game called My Favorite Thing About You. And at the close of our meeting, each person gets a chance to share one of their favorite things about another member of the family, so that we always end on a positive note.
That's beautiful, John. And actually, your audio came through beautifully there as well, so that this is working, I think. But that's a beautiful example. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. And I think family meetings should be sort of one of those non-negotiables, because they are so powerful.
I just wanted to do a quick shout out. I did notice that we have 2 particularly amazing folks in our audience today. There's a young lady named Stephanie who's one of the very first.
Uh-oh, you cut out. Oh, we might have lost John. Oops, sorry. John, we might have lost you. Can you hear me? Oops, let's see what happens. Okay, John, you've cut out. Let's save that till the end and keep going here just to keep us on track. And hopefully your audio will you just let us know when you feel like you've got that worked out, and poke on back in here. So I'm going to move forward while we're waiting for John. Routine meetings, it's exactly sort of what we were just talking about. Each meeting shall cover the following topics: a little bit of family business, issues and proposal, a chat if there's something interesting that's happened in the neighborhood or on the news or whatever that you want to share with each other. Great to get everybody's perspective. Really interesting to get the kids' perspective. Upcoming vacations and so forth, just like John was talking about. And then doing some weekly planning. And this is really something that SOAR does fabulously when the kids are here, either at Academy or GAP or camp. We have each kid plan dinners, you know, so plan meals. At camp, not so much because we have a fabulous cook at camp. But when they're here at GAP and Academy, sometimes they're working on, you know, planning meals and learning how to cook meals. And that's fantastic. Calendars, keeping their calendar, keeping a family calendar, hopefully posted somewhere where everybody can see it and access it, is very important. Grocery shopping, I would suggest when you have a child dinner planning that you also have them decide what groceries they're going to need, and that they go and help you do that, because that also counts into looking at that money management piece and how much things cost and so forth. And we're going to talk about that money management piece in a minute. Chores and responsibilities are kind of reviewed, and if there's any adjustments that need to be made, this is the time. And then family fun and games. So John, are you back? Can you hear me? John? We can see you, but we can't hear you. It looks like you're frozen. All right, we're gonna keep it going. So a called meeting, the purpose of a called meeting is to change an article or make a personal proposal to the family. And the proposal system, and I really need John to join us for this because he has a great example. The proposal system it works kind of like this, and I'm just going to get us started and we're going to see if we can get John online. John, are you with us? Okay. Well, this is how it goes. As soon as we can get John back, that'll be great, but this is how it goes. If your child or teen has an issue with one of the articles or part of their duties or chores or anything, maybe some of the non-negotiables even, what they need to do is make a proposal to you and to the team at the regular routine meeting or a called meeting. They need to bring this proposal forward. And the proposal has within it what the child wants, the change that they're asking for, the reward that they would like to earn, along with the rationale why that's important. Okay, so they're going to come in with a list with the proposal. Then they're going to have a list of reasons why the proposal should be accepted, a list of reasons an adult would deny the proposals, a solution to overcome each challenge listed, and conditions for maintaining the change provided. Okay.
Liz, I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can. Good job.
All right. So I want to share with you that families, by the way, and I was trying to give a special shout out to Stephanie and Selma, who are here, who have been long time friends of SOAR and mine, and I'm so glad you're here. The wonderful thing about the proposal is I have had families just take this portion of the Constitution and apply it, and essentially what that does is three things. It allows kids to become self-advocates. It allows them to work through the negotiation skills, and most importantly, they get to have the argument without you, because they are coming up with all the reasons you might say no, and then coming up with solutions to your no. Here in just a second, when Liz moves the slide, you're going to see a example of my son actually using the proposal system. So the rule at our house was that when you come home from school, before you could turn on the TV or play video games or do anything else, that you had to make sure that your homework was finished. And so my son really wanted to to change that rule and be able to play on the computer prior to doing his homework. And so he said, reasons why this should be passed. And one of his arguments, by the way, was, Dad, I think what he said was, you know, I will be able to be more effective at doing my homework if my mind is rested, and I've been working all day, and so a little bit of time on the computer would allow me to, to be able to focus. Well, so he shared with me, why he thought he should have it, and then why he thought I might deny it, because we've had this rule for a long time. I want to make sure that the homework is finished, and he's like, and you don't like me being on the computer all the time. Uh, so so he said, in order to keep this proposal, I'll have to get my homework done by 9:30, and if he doesn't get his homework done, he won't be on the computer the next day. One of the other components to his proposal was that sometimes when I would ask him to transition from the computer to home, he would get grouchy, and so if he got grouchy, then he would lose the privilege for the rest of the week. So we, he was very thoughtful in his proposal. We made a choice to say yes, and we waited for the next set of grades. They suffered a little bit, and so we went back to Dad's way. And then my son figured out a way to make sure that he had a chance to make sure he got all of his homework done at school, so that he didn't even have to have homework when he came home. And in doing so, his grades improved, and it's no longer an issue. Recently, he asked for later bedtime, and I said, buddy, write a proposal. I'm still waiting to see it. I'll keep you posted.
Right, right. Fantastic. So the proposal system, like John said, can be used just by itself, and it does eliminate a lot of that arguing. They come up with their own logical consequences. You don't have to say, what would happen if you don't. They have to work that through already. And sometimes the kids can be tougher on themselves than we would be, actually. So that they are very they're very hard on themselves sometimes. But we're getting to my favorite part right now, the treasury. And I love this because in today's day and age, where kids are bombarded with so many things to buy and to have and to think they need, but they really just want, this is really an important part. And it's a big part of parenting that sometimes can get away from us. So for Article 4, the Treasury, the purpose is about allowances, about monetary allowances. Now, some of you may do allowances already, others may not, but just hang with me and see what you think. Again, up to you how you want to use this when we're done. You can incorporate it or not. But the way that we look at it is that allowances are not pay. And that's kind of, it's really kind of a unique approach, because there's other logical consequences to not getting your chores done, logical and natural consequences. And so for us, allowances are not pay, and I'm going to talk about that. So each family has their chores to do because it's their responsibility in the family. And these responsibilities are unpaid because that's your contribution to the family, and that's important. Allowances are a tool for teaching a skill, and the skill is money management. And it is a skill that my son still struggles with because I didn't do a good job. I really just did not do a good job. We are working on it still, and he's about to get engaged and be married. And I've shared with his fiance that I failed in this regard. And the reason why is because I was rescuing him with money, and I'll explain that in a minute. But allowances are a tool for teaching money management, okay? So the schedule of allowances, it should be developed each year according to the first meeting of the year. We get allowances on Friday. This is how much it is for how old you are. and what you need. And so once you get this money, that is the money for you for that week. And if you don't have any more money, you have to wait until the next allowance. So you can see where it teaches a skill that we all have to live with. We all get paid at the end of the month. If we're done before then, we have to just wait until the end of the month. And with my son, he had a very difficult time doing that. And so I'll give you an example. There's so many, but one example is he wanted to get a dirt bike. He wanted to get a dirt bike, and he had a dirt bike, but it was a smaller dirt bike. He wanted a bigger dirt bike, like a 450 instead of a 250 or whatever. And so, you know, we said, no, the 250 is it. If you want the bigger bike, you have to sell the first bike and make enough money or save your money and buy the bigger bike. And so he didn't do that. He borrowed money from a friend to buy this bigger, he sold his bike to one friend and borrowed money from another friend and all of this. And it was awful. And I jumped in there and went, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I mean, you know, he's the kind of kid that would borrow from a loan shark for sure. And I was like, oh, no. So anyway, I ran in there and rescued him and, you know, gave him the money to pay off the loan or whatever, but he still ended up with this bike. And his sisters are going, you know, Mom, you can't do that. He didn't really earn that bike. I mean, you actually paid for this bike. And I'm like, well, you know, I didn't want him to owe money. It was just terrible. And we didn't have it straight. And so finally, when he was 18, he got a job. And with that job, and we did have a family meeting, his sisters and myself and my husband, and we all came together. And we decided at that point, Clay, you have a job, you're making money. That is the money that you have to spend. If you have any more money than that, and choose to borrow money from a loan shark or whatever my worst fear was, we're going to have to, you know, just believe that you're okay with, you know, going to jail or having this guy hunt you down and hurt you, whatever. I mean, you know, we were just trying to put a little fear in him, but this is the money that you have. And he came around. He still has trouble, but he came around. So the next thing he did was come to me probably 2 weeks after that and say, Mom, I want you to start a savings account for me that takes out some of my money that I can't touch. I don't want to be on it. I can't touch it. I can't be trusted with money. Please put that in the savings account for me. And we did this all the way through him being in the Army, all the way until he got out of the Army. And he was able to pay off his student loans, which was another thing he did without anybody knowing. And now he's back on his feet financially. He is 30 years old. You know, I'm so glad that he has finally got it worked out, but it took a while. And it was because I didn't really do a good job of teaching money management skills in the beginning. So this is why I love this particular notion so much. I really know it would work. So something to think about. Personal goals and behavior contracts. This is an opportunity for everybody to set some goals and to make some contracts. These are goals that we set for ourselves during our time together. So we all have strengths and talents, but this way gives us an opportunity to set some personal goals for ourselves and to model for our kids how those personal goals are set and met and why, okay? So you want the goals to be realistic, and you want to have a way that you can sort of measure your progress towards attaining those goals. And each family member is going to devise their own method for charting goal progress. And I want to speak to that. We were just having a Zoom meeting with some GAP parents earlier this week. And one of the GAPers, when they came to GAP, they set a personal goal to lose some weight. and it was quite a significant amount of weight. And when I was talking to the parents on Monday, it was so exciting. We were all celebrating the fact that this young adult had met his goal by Christmas. It was very exciting. And, the parents were so proud that he had set his own goal and met his own goal. And he's doing a lot more of that while he's here during gap year. So this is a good teaching tool, again, for how to set your goals and meet your goals. And here's some examples.
Liz, before we do that, can I just go back real quick?
Yep.
All right. So I wanted to share with you, the comment about goals, lofty yet realistic. I recently listened to Ross Green, who does a lot of work on collaborative parenting. And one of the things that he says that continues to resonate so richly with me is the kids will do well if they can. And so it's so critical that when you create goals and objectives with them, not for them, but along with them,
Right.
That you do so with an eye for what's going to be attainable. Because you don't want to set kids up to fail. And so, you can always increase the goal once they have achieved it. But if you create impossible goals for them, you create a cycle of failure that you don't want to find yourself in. Thank you.
Yeah, right, John. And I think the key is to collaboratively set those goals. And then the other thing I wanted to add to that is self-determined goals are more likely to be met than goals that are put on us. And that's for kids. So when a kid sets a goal, for instance, a video game goal or a sports goal or a creative goal, they'll go at it 100%. It's their goal. So you want to, in that collaborative process, be sure that the child has ownership of the goal, but you as a parent are able to break down those pieces to attainment and help them, concentrate on each piece so that they can build those steps to success. So thank you, John. That was really, really important. So these are some examples, just some examples, again, depending on the age and the developmental level of your child. And then the amendment process is very similar to the proposal process. Again, you get to write this, how things can be amended. I would suggest that it look very similar to the proposal process. But there needs to be a way that each family member feels empowered that they can make some changes if they need to, and that needs to be written ahead of time and everybody to agree. Okay, and then everybody needs to sign it. Everybody needs to sign off. It could be done simply or whatever. Again, I like that John said this could be a thing that's just on the refrigerator, simple or as complex as you would like. And then I also want to go ahead and show you these resources. This is a clickable link. If you want to send me your email and I will send you this. This is being recorded, and so you can revisit as many times as you want and share it with others. If you have somebody else, a friend who may benefit from this information. And then again, I want you to know that if you have any questions about particular strategies or a particular issue that's going on at home that we can help you with, email me and I will get right back to you. And the one last thing, because we're about to run out of time, is that we have some upcoming webinars, how to play together as a family, the art of family date night, and John's going to lead that one on March 1st, and it's just going to be fun. And then the King, the Boatman, and the Shepherd, does your parenting style or developmental level meet your child's developmental needs? And I'll be talking about that on April 5th. And so those two are coming up. So let's see if anybody has any questions. We've got the Q&A, and then we've got the chat box. I'm looking at the chat box right now.
Well, while you're doing that, I would like to share with you that, one of the reasons that we brought Liz on board is she is available to answer questions, to be an extra support and another thoughtful idea as you are finding challenges or situations that you could use a little extra advice about. So she is a absolutely complimentary service, and can help direct you towards resources. She can answer simple questions. She can just be a sounding board. But we are happy to be a part of your life and are so delighted that you had a chance to join us. So I see we've got a question.
Yeah, I'm going to just answer this one live. I guess I could push a button and answer it live. So Carla, do you want to jump in there? You might can talk now. I'm not sure. See if you can. Are you out there? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and this is Carla Warner. She and I have worked together. She has a delightful son who is doing wonderfully. And we've worked together over the past year, really, to help him through some challenges. And she's an amazing mom who has really developed as well, and they're cooking along. So Carla just jumped in and said thank you. So thank you, Carla, for joining us. She's amazing, an amazing mom.
And her point was that you're very helpful and amazing, and I appreciate that she said so, because any of you can use that. And she is here as part of our community to do that. You know, it's funny. We do have some experts that are along with us. Again, Summer Ridgway has written a book on this population, and she joined our webinar. And then the Stephanie was a student of ours many years ago, and is now raising a child. And so you are always welcome to call any of us at any time to get us to answer any questions or be a support. And we are deeply, deeply appreciative of the community. We have a few more wonderful questions coming in.
Yeah, I was going to answer. Well, John, why don't you take the first one? What should the consequence be if a rule is not met by a family member? My answer would be that you need to have that question on the table at the regular meeting, and everybody come up with what those consequences might be. So that would be my answer. John, do you have a different answer?
All right, I do a little bit, yes. First of all, I think that when you're developing those rules, that you want to have consequences if the rule is being followed. You know, when you shift your mindset to trying to think about, you know, somebody will do well if they can, think about what are the barriers to them being able to meet that expectation. And if you remove those barriers, can they meet that expectation? Versus going to the place of, well, you know, they're just being defiant. So if once you have removed the barriers to why that rule is not being followed by that family member, and that rule continues to not be followed by that family member, then my process is to have a conversation with them, you know, and help them come up with a plan as to how they will meet that rule or that objective, along with coming up in that meeting with what the consequences will be if they meet that, and the consequences will be if they don't meet that. And then if it doesn't work, stop, do it again. Just keep doing it over and over and over. Do not ignore that the rule, and don't just give in that the rule isn't being followed. Keep finding ways for that to happen. And so, you know, that becomes a pattern and a process. Every single time that you need to stop and have a conversation about creating a new idea, new opportunity, that's the best way to go about developing collaborative change. And again, I would urge you to look up Ross Green and collaborative parenting, because, you know, his workshops are, and there's a ton of his stuff that's free on the internet. But I really love the idea of working together as you and the child to come up with solutions as to how you can discover opportunities to meet these problems.
So that was a great, yes, exactly. A great answer, I have another question here. Are the resources available for local low-income populations? And I'm not really sure what you're asking. I think that the resources that we've shared are sort of not socioeconomically specific, I don't think. And so maybe if you could ask the question a little bit differently and help me understand, that would be great. I do have links available to some of the information, and I'm happy to send that to you if you would like. Just email me and I will get that out to you. Yeah, that's where we are.
I would say that our our services, we do have scholarships available for
Right.
our programs.
Right.
And then I would also say that that there are LDA and CHAD and IDA, there are local support group meetings depending on where you are, and then there are virtual meetings that you can attend to continue to get resources. But Kenny, if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer what you're looking for, and maybe even we can direct you. If you call Liz or email Liz, she can direct you if we know where you live, what resources might be available for you.
Right. And I was thinking of just the Constitution information, but Kenny elaborated and said, in participation in SOAR programs, and we do have a really good scholarship program. So that would be available to low-income populations. So we just give Holly Cotton, our admissions director, a call, and you can learn more about those there. Yeah.
In fact, it's worth noting, we are on the eve of launching our very first ever capital campaign, and the largest component of the campaign is going to go to an endowment to fund scholarships for our low-income populations.
Right. And to add to that, we're seeking a grant in Wyoming just for bringing kids to the Wyoming base. So bringing low-income kids to the Wyoming base. So that would be fabulous. Yeah.
I would love to answer Jackie's or Jacqueline's question about impulse control.
Okay.
There's a quote that a family loved that I said so much they made a T-shirt for me, and it says, "Impulsivity happens," and that's the case. When you consequence impulse, impulsive behavior, that's like giving giving someone with low blood sugar a consequence for having low blood sugar, and really there are two ways to manage impulsive behavior, and they are redirect them or ignore the impulsive behavior. The caveat to that is unless the behavior is non-compliance or is a safety issue. You can't ignore safety issues, but you can redirect them away or redirect them towards safer behavior. But so how you address impulsive behavior by redirection, ignoring, or just guiding them away from the thing that is is a danger.
Absolutely. Great. Super. Okay. If there are no more questions, I think we've gone a little bit over our hour. I want to thank you so much for participating and being here with us today. We hope we see you at future webinars. And if you have any follow-up questions at all, please let me know. Your feedback is always welcome and appreciated. So thank you so much for joining us today. John, it was great to have you. I know you're in Orlando at a different conference, but thanks for popping in and being a part of this. It really loved your contributions. Fantastic. So thanks again. And we're going to end now. And so we'll see you next time. Thank you.